After traversing into the pages of a novel, I promptly initiated divorce proceedings. After all, he finds me dull and mute. Once divorced, he can pursue his first love, his radiant moonlight, while I indulge in the company of 10 chiseled male models, playfully, touching each with a single finger, haha. Had it not been for my muteness, I would have already expressed my delight audibly. Little did I know, my rather unremarkable husband could hear the unvoiced whispers of my heart. 1. Sia Yunjan paused momentarily while perusing the divorce agreement. Have you found someone new? I typed 2 words on my phone. No, how could I find someone new if I haven't even divorced? Hurry up, don't delay my time with the male models. Huh. Sia Yunjan let out a soft chuckle, tossing the divorce agreement onto the coffee table. He lounged lazily on the sofa, his broad shoulders, slender waist, and long legs showcasing an exquisite physique. The white pants indeed accentuate his figure. Perhaps I should test the allure of little Sia on the eve of our divorce? Cough, cough, cough. Sia Yunzan's drinking motion faltered, splashing water onto his shirt. I swiftly retrieved a tissue to assist him in wiping it off, casting a questioning glance. Are you alright? I'm fine. Sia Yunjan spoke rapidly, springing up from the sofa in an instant. I reluctantly withdrew my hand. What a shame, I was so close to touching his chest muscles. Seemingly evading something, Sia Yunjan hastily remarked, "I'll go change my clothes," and dashed up the stairs. After all these years as a couple, why still act so distant? Undressing here won't cost him a piece of flesh. As he ascended the stairs, Sia Yunjan nearly lost his footing, almost tumbling down. 2 hours had passed in the blink of an eye. I sat on the bed, clutching the divorce agreement, while my peripheral vision involuntarily glanced at Sia Yunjan. He wore a dark sleeveless nightgown and matching shorts. His biceps nearly rivaled my chest. I wonder how they feel. It's been a year since we married, yet I've never touched him. What a sin. I regarded him with utmost seriousness and extended the divorce agreement. Just as Sia Yunjan settled onto the bed, he suddenly rose and donned a shirt from the wardrobe. Confused, I withdrew my hand and typed 3 words on my phone. Aren't you hot? It was summer after all. The air conditioning is too cold, he replied. I glanced at the air conditioner displaying 28 degrees and nodded in understanding. I didn't expect such a young man to be so delicate. A man who fears the cold is often unreliable. What a pity. I watched as the shirt Sia Yunjan had just put on was swiftly discarded, the thin blanket he had pulled up to his chest sliding down to his navel. His arms rested behind his head, revealing a captivating muscular physique that was hard to look away from. Through the gap of his tank top, I could see his well-defined chest. He explained, I suddenly felt hot again. I suppose I was cold after just showering. I blinked and once more offered the unsigned divorce agreement. My phone clattered with typing. Just sign it. Let us part amicably. I will explain it to my grandfather. Our marriage was never based on mutual consent. A flawed union cannot endure. Sia Yunjan gazed at the divorce agreement for a long while, but ultimately signed it as I had wished. I sighed in relief. His first love was returning to the country, and upon their reunion, it would be as if dry kindling met a roaring fire, rekindling their passionate affair. Meanwhile, I, the Mrs. Sia who squatted in the latrine without contributing, was viewed as an eyesore by the female protagonist in the novel. Knowing full well Sia Yunjan did not harbor feelings for me, I insisted nonetheless. Ultimately, I would be ensnared in the female protagonist's schemes, meeting a tragic end. Such a dreadful fate indeed. 3. He handed me a card. There's 10 million here. Consider it a divorce settlement. I smiled knowingly, my eyes sparkling with delight. Without hesitation, I accepted it. At last, I have funds for male models. Yet I found the card tightly clasped in Sia Yunjan's grip, unable to pull it free. Having second thoughts, a stingy man lacks character. Just as I prepared to relinquish my hold, Sia Yunjan pressed it back into my hand. What's meant for you is yours. I hope you utilize this money wisely and refrain from engaging in any illicit activities. The phrase illicit activities was emphasized with intent. I am not foolish. Only touching. Without action, I have committed no wrong. As I was typing thank you on my phone, I hadn't yet had the chance to show him when I saw Sia Yunjan sulkily retreat beneath the covers. A man's heart is like a needle in the ocean. You won't die from the heat. I shrugged nonchalantly, carefully tucking the card beneath my pillow before turning off the lamp. As I drifted into slumber, I pondered, it seems I won't get to test the power of little Sia. Thereafter, I entered the realm of dreams. In the darkness, Sia Yunjan silently opened his eyes and turned to glance at his ex-wife, Su Jixia, lying beside him. He didn't care for her. yet succumbed to his grandfather's pressure to marry her. Post-marriage, they maintained a courteous distance, their daily conversations revolving around the same trifles. Have you eaten? Su Jixia would inquire. Yes, he would reply. When will you be back? Working late. I'll return later. You should sleep first. Don't wait for me. All right. For a year, they had not shared a bed, their relationship as pure as plain water. It was he who had delayed her. Now that she wished for a divorce, he would grant her desire. Yet, why did a tinge of disappointment linger? For, early in the morning, I stood, sporting dark circles under my eyes, excitedly packing my belongings. What can grow and shrink? Little Xia, if I call your name, will you respond? Little Xia not only responded but did so with remarkable enthusiasm, causing me to make 3 trips to the bathroom in the latter half of the night due to excitement. It wasn't entirely my fault. I merely got up to drink water due to thirst, and who could blame me when Xia Yunjian lay uncovered, his disheveled attire revealing his glistening abs? I admired the view and casually greeted little Xia in my mind, and to my surprise, he perked up obediently. Truly, he was a good boy. Just as Xia Yunjian opened his eyes, he looked down, realizing the blanket had been kicked off to who knows where. And this woman hadn't even thought to cover him. Little Xia was awake too, raising his hand to greet his father. Oh, what enthusiasm so early in the morning. I wore a half-smile, my brows raised playfully. Xia Yunjian scrambled awkwardly to the bathroom. I laughed with abandon. It was a fair trade, after all, to have collected some interest before leaving. 5. Before departing, I savored one last breakfast prepared by Sister Zhou. The fragrant banana pancakes and black bean soy milk brought a smile of satisfaction to my face, though my heart was heavy with regret. Sister Zhou looked at me with maternal affection. Did Xiaxia enjoy it? Her tone was reminiscent of coaxing a child. I had no time to pull out my phone to type. I merely nodded vigorously. Sister Zhou beamed, her expression akin to that of a proud parent. What could be more gratifying than a child relishing a meal prepared by their mother? Compared to her cold master, she held a fondness for the young mistress who had married into the family for a year. Though she couldn't speak much, she was always eager at mealtime, her joyful smiles revealing 2 adorable little tiger teeth. Xiaxia, where is the young master? Why hasn't he risen yet? At this hour, Xia Yunjian would usually be up already. I smirked and scribbled on the notepad Sister Zhou had just brought. He has gone to do good deeds. What kind of good deeds require such an early start? Can't he eat breakfast first? Just then, Xia Yunjian descended the stairs. The one doing good deeds is here. Xia Yunjian cast a suspicious glance at the person devouring her meal. Sister Zhou swiftly presented him with a breakfast identical to mine. Xia Yunjian ate with decorum, always methodical, in stark contrast to my fidgeting. Brother, you're eating, not consuming dung. Why this serious expression? No wonder Sister Zhou looks distressed every time you eat. Xia Yunjian paused mid-bite, suddenly losing his appetite. I haven't finished. How can I waste food? Stuck between eating and not eating. He sat awkwardly at the table, ultimately resorting to a sip of soy milk as a distraction. I quickly finished the last few bites and scrawled on the notepad, handing it to him. I'm done. I'll be leaving first. Until we meet again. Hopefully never again. Without caring for Xia Yunjian's expression, I skipped upstairs with a spring in my step. Su Jixia had vanished into the stairwell, and Xia Yunjian shook his head with a smile. It turned out she despised me so. For the first time, Xia Yunjian lost confidence in his charm. 6. To express my gratitude for Sister Zhou's meticulous care over the past year, I quietly slipped a generous red envelope beneath her pillow. With that, I excitedly wheeled my pink teddy bear suitcase out the door. Young master, the young mistress has gone out to sketch again. Her communication is limited, and you should often check on her. Aunt Zhou was unaware of their divorce and presumed I was once again traveling to paint. Xia Yunjian lowered his gaze, concealing the emotions within, and softly replied, I understand. I will, Aunt Zhou. I had moved into my newly purchased apartment. Having just relocated, my funds were limited, allowing me to acquire only this 2-bedroom unit located outside the 3rd Ring Road, which had cost me nearly 2 million. This sum represented all my savings, and I had to borrow additional funds from my editor for the agency fees and furniture. As Mrs. Xia Yunjian provided me with a monthly allowance of 100,000, accumulating to 1 million over the year. Were it not for his first love returning to the country, I would have been loath to part with such a splendid position. With no obligations, I enjoyed gourmet meals, resided in a grand villa, shared a bed with a handsome boss boasting an 8-pack, and still received a salary. Aside from the bittersweet reality of being a mere observer, this role as Mrs. Xia was undeniably perfect. I was self-aware. In the divorce, I had asked for nothing, taking only the money I had earned. Fortunately, Xia Yunjian had a conscience and gifted me 10 million upon parting. I promptly transferred 50,000 to my editor, Xiaoyu. Editor Xiaoyu, sister, have you struck it rich? Me, sort of, wanna go shopping? Editor Xiaoyu, let us celebrate your return to singlehood with flowers. I arranged to meet Xiaoyu at the mall, and we explored the entire women's clothing section. I began a spree of revenge shopping, laden with bags until I could carry no more, ultimately resorting to requesting home delivery for the clerk to handle the registrations. Suddenly, I remembered that grandfather Xia's 70th birthday was approaching, and I redirected with Xiaoyu to a jade shop. To my dismay, I encountered Xia Yunjian and Bai Qingshuang emerging together from the store. Bai Qingshuang was the original heroine of the story and the very culprit behind Su Zhixia's demise. Had Bai Qingshuang just returned to the country? My frustration mounted. I regretted skimming through the novel. Now I grasped only the general plot while the intricate details, such as when the heroine returned, eluded me. I should have checked the almanac before stepping out. They can't see me. They can't see me. Feigning ignorance, I turned to leave, clutching Xiao Yu's arm. Zhixia. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. I'm deaf to your calls. Xia Yunjian chuckled in exasperation, catching up and continuing to call. Su Zhixia, stop. I wished to maintain my pretense and escape, but Xiaoyu, unable to bear it any longer, tugged at me. Zhixia, the CEO is calling you. I shot her a glare. Turning back, I smiled at Xia Yunjian, feigning confusion. What is it? Speak quickly, if you have something to say. Say it. I'm in a hurry to eat. Are you hungry? Let me treat you to a meal. Xia Yunjian, for some inexplicable reason, stifled his inquiries. In the grand scheme of things, dining is of utmost importance, yet I dared not share a table with the heroine, fearing she might harbor thoughts of me. Thus, I shook my head in refusal. The light bulb has dimmed. It can no longer shine. Xia Yunjian, not comprehending, pulled me directly into a Cantonese restaurant. The drawback of being mute is that even urgent words cannot escape my lips. Overwhelmed by the physical disparity, I was forcibly ushered into the restaurant. Resigned to sit and eat, I resolved to remain silent and simply dine. Food won tea impoverish you. In a fit of frustration, I skewered a piece of braised pork, my expression fierce. Xia Yunjian watched me with an amused smile as I devoured my meal rather ungracefully. Bai Qingshuang, observing the scene, frowned, seemingly struck by a thought, and suddenly laughed. This Miss Su appears rather different from the rumors. I continued to eat, inwardly musing. Mind your own business. You scheming green tea. It is said that the former Mrs. Xia was timid and averse to meeting strangers, having never attended any public events with CEO Xia since their marriage. Today, however, she seems quite lively, despite her silence. She emphasized former Mrs. Xia, as if to ensure I did not forget my identity. Here it comes. I knew the green tea would stir trouble. Implying Xia Yunjian never took me out because he disliked me. Just say it plainly. Xia Yunjian, you scoundrel, just a few days after our divorce. And you're already broadcasting it to the world? This divorce was indeed a splendid decision. I did not. Xia Yunjian suddenly regarded me earnestly. I did not dislike taking you out. I was the one who, due to childhood experiences, was reluctant to interact with others. I understood. Yet that was the original owner's story. Her muteness stemmed from past trauma. Witnessing her parents' murder at the hands of enemies at the tender age of 10. When the police discovered her cowering in a wardrobe, she lost her voice. Doctors attributed it to an extreme shock response, requiring extensive psychological treatment for recovery. However, after her parents' passing, the original owner was taken in by her uncle. Until university, she resided at her uncle's home, suffering countless grievances due to her inability to speak and enduring bullying at school, let alone seeking treatment. Thus, the original owner developed a timid, introverted demeanor. Seeking out the Xia family to enforce the marriage contract and later insisting on not divorcing was perhaps the most resolute choice she ever made. Unfortunately, it ended poorly. I shook my head, indicating it was of no consequence. In truth, I was indifferent. We were divorced, and who still cared about those matters? Yet Bai Qingshuang was unwilling to relinquish this opportunity to taunt me. Miss Su, please don't be courteous. Eat to your heart's content. I have heard you were raised in someone else's home, and likely had few opportunities to dine in restaurants. Now that you have shed your identity as Mrs. Xia, life may not be as pleasant as before. Should you encounter any difficulties, do not hesitate to seek my assistance. I will certainly help in any way I can. Xia Yunjian frowned at her words. Qingshuang, You have overstepped. Shuang, how intimate. There must be an affair afoot. There is none. Xia Yunjian suddenly shouted, startling me. Causing the braised pork I had almost tasted to fall back into the bowl. He awkwardly clarified, I meant I haven't tried this dish yet. Please save me some. I stared at him in horror, then glanced down at the last piece of braised pork in my bowl with a mournful expression. The presentation of the dishes in this restaurant was exquisite, both delicious and visually appealing, yet the portions were disappointingly small. A plate of braised pork contained only a few pieces. I hadn't even had my fill, and now he sought to take it from me. How dare he rob a mute of her food? Xia Yunjian, you have no shame. I smiled and placed the final piece of braised pork onto Xia Yunjian's plate. Typing 2 words on my phone, you eat. Seeing the boss enjoy his meal is my greatest happiness. Xia Yunjian's ears reddened, and under my eager gaze, he consumed that piece of braised pork. Jean, let us leave after we finish eating. We have a meeting soon. Bai Qingshuang interrupted our interaction, warning me before departing. Miss Su, you know that CEO Xia married you only under pressure from grandfather Xia. Now that you are divorced, please do not appear before Jean again, nor should you entangle him. No, sister. Which of your eyes saw me entangling him? I rolled my eyes internally while maintaining an obedient nod. Damn it, I'll let you off today. But next time you better not mess with my aunt's head. Otherwise, whether you're the female lead or not, I'll beat you up and, if necessary, get rid of the female lead and let me, the supporting female, rise to the top. I thought I would no longer have any interaction with the main leads. Every day, I just stayed at home, drawing and writing, improving the comics that the original me hadn't finished. That day, Xiao Yu excitedly sent me a message. Editor Xiao Yu, Jixia, someone is interested in your comic and wants to buy the copyright to adapt it into a game. Penguin spinning JPG. Jixia, really? Who has such good taste? Ultraman shooting lasers from Eyes JPG, Editor Xiao Yu. It's a game company called Light Gap Future. Jixia, how much are they offering? Smirk JPG, Editor Xiao Yu. 3 million. I jumped onto the bed, grabbing the blanket and rolling into a twist. The day I received the copyright fee, I grabbed my phone and sent a message to my university roommate group. Men come and go, but sisters stay together. Jixia. 8 p.m. tonight, Shengshi Huading VIP suite. 10 male models, don't be late. At 8 p.m., I was actually the last to arrive. This bunch of perverts talking about male models, each one more enthusiastic than the last. The most flirtatious, Susu, threw an arm around my neck. Wow, Jixia S made it big. 10 male models, just say which one. Spill it already. I quickly typed, telling them about my comic adaptation deal. I didn't mention the divorce from Xia Yunjian, of course. After all, they didn't even know I had been married. If I suddenly told them, they'd probably think I'd lost my mind, daydreaming that some Cinderella story was happening to me. The 3 of them genuinely congratulated me, each shouting to get the most handsome one to accompany them for drinks. I delivered on my promise. 10 male models lined up, wearing uniform black suit pants and white shirts. Even though the outfits were identical, they all wore them differently, giving off unique vibes. I kept my eyes on one of them, who looked the most well-endowed, my mind filled with lewd thoughts. Chest muscles, abs, big JJ. I wonder how he compares to Xiao Xia, who's more impressive. Those who worked here all had good intuition. The man noticed my interest, deliberately came closer, and grabbed my hand, pressing it against the opening of his intentionally undone buttons. Oh my, doke. Outside, Xia Yunjian passed by and heard these familiar thoughts. Gritting his teeth, the door suddenly got kicked open. Instinctively, I buried my head into the man's chest. When Xia Yunjian entered, this was the scene me, like a lustful glutton, burying myself into a man's chest and sniffing him thoroughly. Susu was still marveling. Wow, Jixia, did you pick this one too? Absolute top tier. Hearing top tier, my eyes lit up and I quickly lifted my head. The next second, my whole body went limp and slid to the floor like jelly, hiding under the coffee table. Why is Xia Yunjian here? Being caught by my ex-husband picking male models was utterly mortifying. No, screw my ex-husband. I'm not afraid of him. I pretended nothing happened, got up, and sat back on the sofa, grinning at Xia Yunjian. The man beside me thoughtfully guided my hand back into his clothes. No need to be so considerate, just give it a couple of touches. I quickly took the chance to grope, pulling my hand back with utmost seriousness under Xia Yunjian's murderous gaze. Hello, hi there, ex-husband, nothing's wrong, better go now. Don't distract me from my big plans. Xia Yunjian squinted, hands in his pockets, walking closer. His presence was overwhelming, My 3 roommates didn't dare move. The man beside me spoke up just in time. Hey, Miss Sue, you asked for me first. First come, first serve, okay? I nodded like crazy. Facing Xia Yunjan's dangerous gaze, I shook my head like a rattle. Private massacre. Why is Xia Yunjan here? So scary. Xia Yunjan pushed the man aside, grabbed my chin, suppressing his anger. Still know to be afraid? Didn't I tell you not to use money for illegal activities? Heaven and earth. I only touched a little bit. Touching is not allowed either. He yelled. I shivered, looking at my 3 roommates for help. Su, under immense pressure, spoke. Handsome.
Who are you?
Xia Yunjan lifted me, wrapped me in his arms, and carried me out. I am her husband. Inside, the 3 were dumbfounded, and I, as if being kidnapped, was taken out of Shengshi hooting, my mind screaming, ex-husband, ex-husband, what husband? A pleasant male voice whispered in my ear. He. As long as you're happy. Let us go, I'll take you home. Xia Yunjan opened the car door, signaling me to get in. Sitting in the passenger seat, I turned my head, showing the back of my head to him, blatantly expressing my displeasure. Stinky Xia Yunjan, taking advantage of the fact that I'm mute and can't speak to bully me. My 10 male models, I spent 100K tonight. And I only touched them a little. Abs popping bottle caps, hip thrust dances, 18 touch musical performances, I haven't even seen any of these. Woo, such a waste. Next. My phone pinged with an unread message. Opening it, I saw Xia Yunjan transferred 500K to my XX bank account. I turned my head, as if worshipping the god of wealth, hearts in my eyes, shooting out love. Xia Yunjan snorted and put down his phone. A thunder sky, mister. Xia makes a dazzling entrance. Alluring amidst chaos. Today Mr. Xia is the brightest. Life is easy. I Mr. Xia carry the whole scene. Society has no ultimate tree. Only my Mr. Xia is reliable. Oh yeah, your card has a limit. Only 500K per day. Go to the bank next time. Xia Yunjan's voice was arrogantly casual. I just love my Mr. Xia's invincible aura. My mistake. From now on, I'll raise the flag for Mr. Xia, let anyone dare be his enemy. Enemies on all sides, I am his flag. Xia Yunjan, caught by my teasing, rubbed my head, lips still curled as we reached my building. I'll take you upstairs. He pushed me toward the hallway before I could even say goodbye, inexplicably following me home. I opened the shoe cabinet and took out a pair of men's slippers for him. Xia Yunjan squinted. Has a man been in your room? Man. What man? I excitedly looked around the room and only realized the slippers were in his hand. Hi, just prepared these for my future boyfriend, can I? I typed angrily, showing him, then turned to get water. At the door, the man smirked, clearly pleased with himself. At the door, the man smirked, clearly pleased with himself. Once inside, Xia Yunjan looked around. I quickly shut my bedroom door before he could enter. My new toy is still on the bed. He can't see it. Xia Yunjan's temple twitched as he pushed the door open over my head. I tried with all my strength to stop him, but it was useless. I couldn't scream either, so I bit his arm out of anger. Yikes, you dog. Even that didn't stop him from heading toward my 1.8-meter wide bed. The unopened toy was in his strong, bony hands, strangely exciting. If the male models had come home tonight, I'd already be lying on the bed enjoying it. The hand that was poised to grasp the bag hesitated momentarily before Xia Yunjan slowly let the bag slip from his fingers. He took his time to peel away the outer layer, casually tugging at his shirt collar and tie. Caught off guard, he bound my wrists and pushed me down onto the bed. I was left wide-eyed, flailing my legs in bewilderment. In a confined space with a solitary man, something is bound to happen. Xia Yunjan, oh my, what is this? Bullying a mute, how low. If you have the guts, strip down and let me take the lead. Let me please you first and then you can take your turn, all right? His sultry voice whispered enticingly in my ear, making me weak at the knees. The unfolding events were entirely beyond my expectations. Initially, I had resisted. The aloof and noble Mr. Xia. Lowering himself to this level, I had anticipated being utterly consumed, only to find that this scoundrel left me, dazed with pleasure, and headed straight for the bathroom. Xia Yunjan, are you even a man? A pure maiden lies on the bed, and you can still restrain yourself? Disappointment washed over me, yet I breathed a sigh of relief. Just divorced? And already in bed? What kind of affair is this? The sound of water splashing drowned out the man's heavy breaths. There were no men's pajamas in the room, only a towel I had previously used in the bathroom. Oblivious to this detail, Xia Yunjan emerged, wrapped in the towel, covering only his lower half. My hand froze as I opened the wardrobe, my gaze fixating on his robust upper body, unable to look away. Oh my, how utterly captivating. His short hair was only half dried, a veil of mist clinging to him. With his torso bare, he wore nothing but the towel. Broad shoulders tapering to a slender waist, muscles clearly defined. Drops of water cascaded from his hair, rolling down to his abdominal muscles, disappearing beneath the towel. A parched sensation coursed through me, my limbs unresponsive. I stumbled, nearly losing my balance. This is it, this is the end. Xia Yunjian swiftly stepped forward, catching me securely in his warm embrace. My face flushed crimson as I found myself pressed against his heated body. Mortifyingly, he guided my hand to the coveted abs I had longed to touch. Once you've touched mine, you can't touch another. Indeed, who could rival such allure? I shamefully succumbed to Mr. Xia's overwhelming presence. Ha! Xia Yunjian let out a muffled chuckle. You like it that much? I never noticed you were this. It seemed the latter part of his sentence was too difficult to articulate, as he repeated it several times without success. Steady. He must be trying to compliment my composure. Ha ha ha. The man holding me laughed uncontrollably, forgetting he was merely wrapped in a towel. Suddenly aware of something slipping, I glanced down, seeing things I ought not to have. I covered my mouth, my brows twitching. Oh dear, little Xia has transformed into big Xia. Xia Yunjian dove into my covers with a flourish. I'm sleeping here tonight. Go fetch another blanket. His voice, muffled by the bedding, took on an oddly endearing quality. What? Who permitted you to sleep here? What if I lose control? I poked at his head buried in the blankets, handing him my phone. Mr. Xia, we're divorced. We should maintain some distance. Xia Yunjian wore a look of grievance. You ungrateful little thing. Enjoying yourself and then kicking me out. How cruel. He retreated further into the covers, shouting, Then let us remarry. What had started as a mere outburst left both of us in stunned silence. What kind of nonsense is this? You say remarry just like that? Will we return to being the ascetic monks of our previous lives? Whoever wants to live like that can do so. As Xia Yunjian pondered the feasibility of remarriage, I launched into a tirade. Sitting on the edge of the bed, organizing my thoughts on how to dismiss him, I was suddenly yanked into the dark cocoon of the blankets. Face to face in the obscurity, his breath, laden with masculine allure, brushed against my skin, causing my breath to quicken. At that moment, Xia Yunjian leaned in closer, whispering, Xia, I'm a normal man. I once thought it was respectful to give you space, but if you desire, I can accommodate. What? Is Xia Yunjian serious? But you don't love me. See, men are creatures of their lower instincts. Even without love, they can still engage. His lips withdrew abruptly. Taking a deep breath before speaking in a hoarse tone, Xia, let us talk. 10 minutes later, Xia Yunjian donned a makeshift bathrobe that barely covered him. Sitting across from me, I was clad in a robe that reached my calves, while his barely concealed his thighs, revealing glimpses of his long, fair legs with each movement. Yet, I lacked the spirit to appreciate the view, my mind racing with thoughts about what Xia Yunjian wished to discuss. He wouldn't be so humiliated as to retract the 10 million he promised me, would he? Or is he hoping I'll become his mistress while he asks with someone else? How shameless. Am I that kind of person? Xia Yunjian tugged at the corners of his mouth, interrupting my musings. Xia, after you left, I reflected a lot. Reflected on what? I think I like you. Yeah, right. Who would believe that? Like someone for a year, without so much as a touch? My expression remained unperturbed, shock etched on my face as I regarded him. Xia Yunjian appeared surprised by my lack of enthusiasm. I picked up the notebook in front of me and wrote Mr. Xia, when you're done playing, go home. There's no need to put yourself through this. To me, it all felt like mere entertainment for him. Men are so fickle. If I were to cling desperately to the divorce, he would likely grow weary. Yet if I cheerfully sever ties, acting as if I no longer care, it would leave him feeling unsettled. See, men are just that complicated. Xia Yunjian rubbed his temples, clearly distressed. Xia, I'm not joking, I'm serious. After you left, I often waited downstairs at your place just to catch a glimpse of you. Now, I was genuinely taken aback. This scoundrel was serious? No wonder he seemed so familiar with the route to my house. He had been stalking me all along. I wrote, so what? Mr. Xia, you already have a new love. Leave me be, your ex-wife. Xia Yunjian's tone was filled with disbelief. When did I get a new love? I'm not aware of this. I pressed my pen harder against the paper. The woman you brought along last time, by Qing Shuang. Two people so intimate. There's no way it's innocent. Yet Xia Yunjian suddenly laughed. Xia, you're not jealous, are you? I rolled my eyes. I wouldn't be jealous even if I were eating excrement. Xia Yunjian's smile faltered, a mix of affection and resignation on his face. You're truly something special. This guy, after confessing his feelings, had the audacity to claim Bai Qingshuang was merely a new employee at the company and they had coincidentally met at a store together.
Huh.
I do believe you if pigs flew. He asked for time, allowing me to consider the feasibility of remarriage, but once remarried, there would be no possibility of separation again. His assistant delivered a set of clothes, and only after he changed into clean attire did he leave. I inhaled sharply, realizing I had seen the assistant numerous times in the neighborhood. I had encountered him on the very first day I moved in. Curious as to why he loitered downstairs, turns out he was Xia Yunjian's spy. This scoundrel must have lost his mind. The narrative seemed to have diverged. Xia Yunjian was not with Bai Qingshuang. For the first time, I was at a loss as to what to do. The following morning, I slept soundly. My phone, resting by my pillow, rang incessantly. I ignored it, continuing to sleep, but the phone seemed to have taken a personal vendetta against me, ringing every few seconds. Fuming, I rose and glanced at my phone, only to find that Xia Yunjian had sent me a plethora of messages. The remainder were from the group chat titled Men Come and Go, Sisters Remain. I opened the chat to find a barrage of inquiries regarding when I had acquired a husband. I was unsure of where to begin, so I merely stated that I would find time to explain everything later, hoping to evade the deluge of questions. These people, last night they were probably reveling, and now they only think to ask me in the morning. I could only muster a modicum of concern, but nothing more. Meanwhile, Xia Yunjian had messaged to inform me that we would be attending Grandpa Xia's 70th birthday celebration together, accompanied by an avalanche of overly sentimental greetings. Xia, are you still asleep? I couldn't manage to close my eyes all night. Do you know why I couldn't sleep? Every time I shut my eyes, all I could think of was you, and the more I thought of you, the more exhilarated I became. I've been to the restroom 3 times. It's truly unbearable to be alone and unable to sleep. I wonder when you will return to keep me company? Xia, I miss you dearly. The audacity of inviting me so early in the morning was simply outrageous. I replied with a curt, scene. I aimed for an air of aloofness, leaving him guessing. Upon receiving my message, Xia Yunjian chuckled softly, shaking his head, and muttered under his breath, "Little ingrate." The following morning, Xia Yunjian dispatched his assistant to collect me, escorting me for makeup and a change of attire. I was delighted by the convenience, as I relished the fact that someone was managing everything, relieving me of the burden of worry, which I found immensely gratifying. At the banquet, I made my debut as Mrs. Xia, appearing alongside Xia Yunjian. This unreliable partner of mine insisted that it was Grandpa's momentous day, and that revealing our divorce would dampen his spirits, urging me to continue playing the role of his wife. Remembering the kindness Grandpa Xia had shown me, I smiled and complied, linking my arm with his as we greeted the guests. For the first time, I savored the advantages of silence. I merely needed to hold my head high and smile at each person who approached us, fulfilling my role as Xia Yunjian's companion without the need to waste words navigating the complexities of social interactions. However, there were always those who wished to disrupt my peace. During a brief trip to the restroom, I unexpectedly encountered Bai Qingshuang, who had also come to the birthday celebration. I pretended not to see her, ignoring her as she finished washing her hands and prepared to leave. "Hey, Su Jixia, how rude of you. Didn't your parents teach you to greet people when you see them?" I turned around helplessly, pulling out my phone to show her. "Sorry, but where is anyone? Are you blind? Can't you see me standing right here?" "Oh, I thought a mad dog was barking. Turns out it's just you, Miss Bai." Bai Qingshuang pointed at me and shouted, "Are you calling me a mad dog? Do you believe I would tear your mouth apart?" I caught a glimpse of Xia Yunjian approaching me and pinched myself hard. With tears welling in my eyes, I looked at Bai Qingshuang, feigning a pitiful fearfulness, my tears on the verge of spilling, starkly contrasting with her aggressive demeanor. Walking the path of a green tea BTCH leaves no path for the green tea BTCH. As expected, Xia Yunjian assumed I was being bullied and promptly pulled me behind him. With concern, he asked, "Xia, are you alright?" I lowered my head and shook it. Suppressing his anger, Xia Yunjian confronted Bai Qingshuang. "Miss Bai, guests should be treated with respect. If you unjustly bully members of the Xia family, do not blame me for disregarding etiquette and asking you to leave." Bai Qingshuang's eyes widened in disbelief as she pointed at me, furiously exclaiming, "This shameless woman is just pretending. You two are already divorced, yet you still defend her? Xia Yunjan's expression darkened ominously. Su Jixia is my wife, and we will remarry. Please show her the respect she deserves and refrain from meddling in my family affairs in the future. Aware that arguing was futile, Bai Qingshuang shifted to a pitiful expression. Ah, Jean, do you no longer love me? I turned down a lucrative offer abroad just to return to your side, and this is how you treat me? You moved me to a branch office without consulting me. All for her? I gazed at the solid back of the man, my emotions complex. Xia Yunjan had transferred Bai Qingshuang to a branch office? If I recalled correctly, the Xia Group's branch office was located in Anqing, over 1,000 kilometers away from Shangjing. No wonder I hadn't heard from Bai Qingshuang in such a long time since our last encounter. This detail was not part of the original plot. The current development of a story had completely diverged from its original course. Xia Yunjan's voice remained as frigid as ever. Internal company transfers are standard procedure. If you are unwilling, you may resign and submit the necessary paperwork to HR. With that, he grasped my hand and led me away, leaving Bai Qingshuang in a daze. After departing from the banquet, I sat in Xia Yunjan's car, maintaining a profound silence. My inner turmoil eerily calm. Xia Yunjan frequently stole glances at me, and while I was aware of his attention, I found myself at a loss for words and uncertain about what to do next. The only question occupying my mind was, will the altered trajectory of events ever revert to its original course? As a voracious reader for a decade, I had perused countless novels, encompassing themes of time travel, soul possession, and book transmigration. Yet I never anticipated that I would be the one experiencing it firsthand. Nearly every story involving transmigration asserts that the original plot cannot be altered, yet the reality is that it has already changed. I feared becoming too deeply entrenched, only to face disillusionment in the end. Is something troubling you? Xia Yunjan's voice was neither too loud nor too soft, resonating with a soothing quality. Is there anything I can do to assist? I gazed at his chiseled profile and suddenly smiled. To hell with the female lead. I shall be my own protagonist. Life is fleeting. Indulge in pleasures while you can. Su Jixia, with such an exceptional man before you, what are you hesitating for? Xia Yunjan seemed to understand my thoughts, casting a gentle glance my way. I must not let him off easy. I shall take him down a peg. I haughtily tapped on my phone screen. I'm hungry. I want to eat barbecue. Very well, as you wish, he replied, his voice deep and tender. The car came to a halt by the roadside. I exited first while Xia Yunjan went to park. You take a look and see which restaurant you want to try. I'll park the car and be right back. I smiled and waved my hand, signaling him to hurry back. This street was a bustling night market, lined with restaurants open until the early hours. I stood at the roadside, pulling out my phone to search for ratings on the eateries, completely oblivious to the black sedan that had pulled up around the corner, which suddenly surged toward me. Xia! A heart-wrenching roar startled me, and I turned around in shock. I watched in horror as Xia Yunjan rushed to shield me. Xia Yunjan! I screamed. He pushed me aside and was struck, tumbling several meters away. My head spun and my body ached, yet I was acutely aware that I had not sustained any severe injuries. My first instinct was to capture the license plate number of the hit-and-run vehicle. Trembling, I typed out a message to a kind passerby, asking them to call for an ambulance and report the incident. The name I had shouted moments ago felt like a mirage, and though I wished to say more, no sound emerged despite my efforts. I loathed my helplessness. Crouching beside Xia Yunjan, tears spilling uncontrollably like beads from a broken string. Upon arriving at the hospital, I endured the pain, sitting outside the operating room as I messaged Grandpa Xia. In the original story, Su Jixia refused to divorce, inciting Bai Qingshuang's wrath, who then schemed to cause Su Jixia's fatal car accident. Now, the narrative of the accident unfolded once more, and I suspected Bai Qingshuang remained the true culprit. To unmask the mastermind behind the scenes, one must act swiftly and decisively. With my current abilities, I was insufficient, yet the true power behind the Xia family, the venerable Grandpa Xia, could accomplish it. After conveying everything, I finally exhaled with relief when I heard the doctor announce that the patient had been stabilized and was out of danger, allowing me to succumb to unconsciousness. Upon awakening once more, I discovered it was already the afternoon of the second day. Grandfather Xia sat beside my bed. I yearned to speak. Yet as I opened my mouth, I was reminded of my inability to utter a sound. Child, do not fret. Yunjan has escaped danger. The doctor reported that he has fractured 2 ribs, but fortunately, there has been no internal bleeding. With proper post-operative recovery, the impact will be minimal. A wave of relief washed over me. It was far less severe than I had envisioned. Feeling reassured about my own condition, I wished to rise and check on Xia Yunjian, but grandfather Xia insisted that I first consume a bowl of lean meat porridge before I could see him. Standing by the bedside, I was engulfed by a mix of anguish and self-reproach. It's all my fault for indulging in barbecue. If I had returned home promptly, Bai Qingshuang would not have had the opportunity to exploit the situation. Thoughts of Bai Qingshuang prompted me to clench my teeth and inquire about her circumstances. Grandfather Xia informed me that they had located the driver responsible for the incident last night. The driver, panicking after striking the wrong person, fled and sought refuge with Bai Qingshuang, only to be apprehended by the Xia family, who had received timely information. It was precisely due to the driver's panic that he had applied the brakes, which spared Xia Yunjian from more severe injuries. Both their call logs and transaction records were intact, and the driver, seeking leniency, readily confessed all details. As of now, Bai Qingshuang had been arrested, and there was no way for her to escape this time. I settled into a monotonous routine, alternating between visiting Xia Yunjian, working, and attending therapy sessions. Xia Yunjian urged me to return to the villa, but I remained resolute. What a cheek! You expect me to share your bed without a proper proposal? Not a chance. One day, after my usual visit to the doctor, I returned home, intending to change clothes before heading to the Xia residence. Upon opening the door, I was met with an enveloping darkness. The curtains had not been drawn when I left, yet now the window sills were shrouded in shadow, devoid of even a glimmer of light. Sensing something amiss, I prepared to flee. Suddenly, the lights flickered on with a startling brightness, and after a moment of adjustment, I lowered my hands to behold a strikingly handsome man in a gray suit, holding flowers amidst a veritable sea of blooms that filled the living room. My heart raced uncontrollably, rendering me momentarily frozen. I am utterly certain. Good things, a kiss must lead to another, cannot cease. Good things, I have loved you to the point of folly. Romance is indulgence, girl. Sweetness is a stupor, girl. I cannot let go of this good and bad. What? You misbehave. Good things, longing is my most beautiful love song. Good things, my happiness is all your responsibility. Grasping my arm, girl. Occupying my embrace. Girl, do not blame me for loving you so much. The deep, husky male voice resonated perfectly with the melody. As the music faded, Xia Yunjian approached me, kneeling on one knee, revealing a diamond ring that nearly blinded me with its brilliance. Will you marry me, Xia Xia? His eyes shimmered with emotion, and I internally screamed, what a massive diamond. Oh my goodness, a dream come true. However, I maintained a composed facade, handing him my phone to show him. Isn't the previous ring still available? Why such extravagance? Xia Yunjian remained undeterred, his gaze unwavering. My Xia Xia deserves the very best. I owe you this. I raised my chin with pride and extended my hand. Hurry and put it on me. I want to post a dazzling moment on social media. Xia Yunjian's hands trembled, yet he steadfastly slid the ring onto my finger and enveloped me in a tight embrace. Suji Xia, I love you. It was a declaration that felt both intimate and sincere, and this time, I responded unequivocally. I love you too, Xia Yunjian. The heartbeat so close to my ear seemed to cease momentarily. Xia Yunjian gazed at me in astonishment, stammering as he repeated, Xia Xia You can speak? Yes, are you surprised? Surprised, truly overwhelmed with joy. His voice quaked with emotion. My heart softened, and I turned the conversation to the song he had sung. What made you choose that particular song? Because my Xia Xia adores it. His memory of such details touched me deeply. How did I perform? I didn't embarrass you, did I? It was average. Yet internally I was cheering for him. It was absolutely beautiful. Please sing more in the future. Do you like it? Shall I continue singing for you in bed? He swept me into his arms, heading straight for the bedroom. Hey, I haven't removed my makeup yet. I haven't showered either, he replied, his voice low and enticing. I can help you wash. Oh my goodness, Xia Yunjian, you rogue. Afterward, I found myself pondering, husband, where are my undergarments? Xia Yunjian skillfully retrieved the discarded item from the bedside, incredulous as he asked, what did you just call me? Hee, what do you want me to call you? Xia Yunjian. Eavesdropping on my thoughts, thinking I wouldn't notice. Ah, please spare me, my dear wife. All that responded was his plaintive cry. And thus, the story concludes. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing and liking to show your support. Until we meet again in the next tale.